The words hit me harder than any storm I had ever survived. Standing beneath the warm afternoon sun outside the old community library, the young woman lowered her eyes and quietly said, "My father said you needed a wife." I couldn't help but laugh at first, thinking it had to be some strange joke. But when I looked into her gentle eyes, I saw no humor there, only honesty, kindness, and a courage that left me speechless. I slowly smiled through the pain I had carried for years and whispered back, "He was right." Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected love, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales. Your support helps us bring more inspiring stories to life. The bright morning sunlight painted golden streaks across the quiet streets as Rowan Mercer unlocked the small hardware store he had inherited from his late father. The town had begun another peaceful day, but inside Rowan's heart there was only silence. At 38, he had everything people assumed would make someone happy. He owned a successful business, lived in a comfortable home, and was respected by nearly everyone who knew him. Yet every evening, he returned to an empty dining table, an empty living room, and a house where the ticking clock seemed louder than any conversation he wished he could have. Years earlier, Rowan had planned a future with the woman he loved, but life had taken an unexpected turn. She accepted a career opportunity overseas and eventually built a new life without him. Rowan buried his heartbreak beneath endless work, convincing himself that staying busy was easier than risking disappointment again. As seasons passed, loneliness quietly became part of his identity. His elderly father noticed it long before Rowan admitted it to himself. His father, Harold Mercer, had always believed that a person's greatest wealth was never money but the people waiting for them at home. Before passing away after a long illness, Harold often reminded Rowan that life was too short to spend alone. Rowan would smile politely, promise he was happy, and quickly change the subject. Deep inside, he feared opening his heart again more than he feared growing old by himself. Several months after Harold's funeral, Rowan received an invitation to attend the annual community volunteer fair. At first, he planned to ignore it, but remembering how much his father had loved helping others, he decided to go. The event filled the town square with cheerful laughter, children planting flowers, musicians playing soft melodies, and neighbors sharing homemade meals beneath colorful tents. For the first time in years, Rowan felt surrounded by genuine warmth instead of business transactions. While helping unload boxes of donated books, Rowan noticed a young woman organizing a reading corner for children. Her name was Ilara Bennett. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She simply smiled at every child who approached, listened patiently to every elderly visitor, and treated complete strangers as though they had known each other forever. There was something peaceful about her presence that reminded Rowan of home. Over the next few weeks, their paths crossed repeatedly during community projects. They planted trees together, painted playground benches, and helped repair the roof of the local shelter. Their conversations remained simple at first, mostly about books, gardening, and the little moments that make ordinary life beautiful. Rowan realized he laughed more often whenever Ilara was nearby. She never asked about his past unless he chose to share it, and somehow that quiet respect made him trust her even more. One sunny afternoon, Ilara invited Rowan to deliver groceries to her father, Gideon Bennett, who lived on a small farm just outside town. Gideon welcomed Rowan with genuine warmth despite meeting him for the first time. During lunch beneath the shade of an old oak tree, the elderly man observed Rowan carefully, noticing the kindness hidden beneath years of emotional walls. He didn't ask difficult questions or offer unwanted advice. Instead, he simply spoke about life, family, and the importance of allowing happiness to return after sorrow. As the afternoon came to an end, Rowan helped Gideon repair an old wooden fence while Ilara prepared fresh lemonade inside the farmhouse. Gideon smiled thoughtfully before placing a hand on Rowan's shoulder. He quietly told his daughter something Rowan couldn't hear. Ilara looked surprised, shook her head shyly, but eventually nodded with a nervous smile. Moments later, beneath the bright daylight and singing birds, Ilara approached Rowan with trembling hands and softly said, "My father said you needed a wife." Rowan stared at her in complete disbelief. Every painful memory, every lonely evening, every promise he had made to avoid love again suddenly rushed through his mind. Then he remembered his own father's words about never facing life alone. Looking toward the peaceful farmhouse, Rowan realized two fathers, separated by time yet united by wisdom, had somehow reached the very same conclusion. His eyes filled with tears as he quietly answered, he was right. Neither of them rushed into romance. Instead, they chose friendship, honesty, and patience. They spent months learning each other's dreams, fears, and imperfections. Rowan slowly shared stories about losing his father and the heartbreak that had convinced him happiness belonged to someone else. Ilara listened without judgment, reminding him through simple actions that healing never arrives all at once. Sometimes it arrives through shared breakfasts, evening walks beneath golden skies, and someone asking whether you made it home safely. The following spring, surrounded by blooming flowers and smiling neighbors, Rowan and Ilara were married in a small daytime ceremony held in the same community garden where they had first worked side by side. There were no extravagant decorations or expensive celebrations. Instead, there were handwritten vows, joyful laughter, children scattering flower petals across the grass, and a sense that every person present genuinely wished them happiness. Rowan kept a framed photograph of his father beside the ceremony, believing Harold had somehow witnessed every beautiful moment. Marriage did not erase every challenge. There were difficult days, unexpected setbacks, and moments of disagreement, just like every real family experiences. But unlike before, Rowan no longer carried life's burdens alone. Together, they transformed the old farmhouse into a place where neighbors gathered for meals, lonely seniors found companionship, and children discovered the joy of reading through Ilara's community library program. The empty house Rowan once dreaded returning to became filled with laughter, music, and hope. Years later, Rowan often sat beneath the same oak tree where everything had changed. Watching children play while sunlight danced across the fields, he realized happiness had never been about finding someone perfect. It had been about finding someone willing to walk beside him through imperfect days. The sentence that once seemed unbelievable became the greatest blessing of his life. Sometimes the people who know us best can see the future we are too afraid to imagine ourselves. If this story has touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Heartwarming Tales. Your support allows more people to discover stories that remind us hope is always worth believing in. Sparkling Heart special request, comment below with the words, kindness always finds a way if you believe love often arrives when we least expect it. As the golden afternoon faded into a peaceful sunset, Rowan stood beside Ilara, holding her hand while the gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers across the fields. He finally understood what his father had tried so hard to teach him. Sometimes life closes one chapter not to punish us, but to prepare us for a better one. The greatest miracles rarely arrive with noise or celebration. Sometimes they arrive with a quiet whisper, a simple sentence, and the courage to finally answer, he was right.